Alrighty. I will start us up, Judy. I'll count us in, and then whenever you're comfortable, you can get started. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, and welcome to Selling in a Skirt with Judy Hoberman. I'm Judy. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. We're so excited to have you. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Selling in a Skirt is all about connection. It's all about community, and it's all about relationships. We try to make sure that women feel empowered to do the things that they do best the way that they do best. And we also encourage men to be champions and advocates and sponsors for women. It's a really big deal when we find the right men because they raise their hand and they say, I want to be part of this. So it's very exciting. Well, what I love most about this, actually, is getting to meet the most amazing men and women and bring them onto the show as my guest. And today is absolutely no different. So I am thrilled and honored to bring you Faith Teope. And I'm going to read just a little bit about her. So, Faith is a multimedia journalist, an author, active advocate, and retirement industry expert, serving as the visionary and CEO of Leverage Retirement, the 401k and ESOP provider inspired by people. Now, that's a mouthful, but I'm going to let Faith tell a little bit more about this piece, all the pieces of her amazing career. So, Faith, I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I am thrilled. And I want you to just tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you love what you do.
Oh, yes. Well, simply, I am a businesswoman, and I have things that take, I call them channels of my attention. One channel of my business is 401ks and ESOPs, as you mentioned. We want every company to have a 401k for their people, but our primary focus is with banks. That's our specialty, both private and public. Mm-hmm. The second channel of business that gets my attention is my work with children and the people that raise them. Right now we have a great project that we're working on that we're excited about, financial literacy. And then the third channel that gets my attention is media. I am a contributing writer for Safe in Harm's Way, and I have a podcast that airs live on Clubhouse for 401k experts. And then I have an investigative podcast that is in tangent with the financial literacy project that I'm working on that is now a mini-series podcast called Savvy.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So we also know that there's always a backstory. You didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to do all these channels. It doesn't happen like that. So what's your backstory? Like, what got you started on this path for you? So what's your origin story?
I think that it really has to date back to this time when I was in elementary school. And I was going to school in the Philippines, and I asked my mom for money to buy a snack at school. And without missing a beat, she told me, I will not give you money to buy a snack at school. I will give you money. You can go to the market, buy something to sell to your friends, and eat your profit. And I loved it. I did not eat my profit, but that is definitely the point where I can say the person I am today was birthed in that moment. And I think you mentioned the path that really got me here. We all have different experiences in our life, mm-hmm. and my children really shaped that path because I didn't want them to relive the traumatic experiences that I have in my life. So everything that I do is about teaching them the perspective that I want them to have, the mindset, the ability to be curious, to ask the right questions, and to not stop till you get an answer.
You know, it's really interesting that you say that because most of the time, you know, as children, we are very curious. We really are. We ask a million questions. I know my kids asked millions of questions. I know I ask millions of questions because I'm the question queen.
Yes.
But something happens and we stop asking questions. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that you are, you know, so open with your kids and telling them, just ask me the questions and I can give you what's going to follow that. But why do you think that we stop being so curious? Like, what happens? Because it just like, there's like a switch. Boom, okay, no more curiosity.
You know, I think part of it is survival. Mm-hmm. I really have to wonder if part of it is, you know, we get so stuck in the focus of getting to where we think that we're supposed to be going that we just tune all the other things out. We don't give pause to curiosity. We don't give pause to say, it's always been done this way. Maybe there's a different way to do it, especially and even so when something is working well. Because it doesn't mean that it's working the best it could be, but we kind of ignore it.
Yeah, and that's hard to figure out. That's the $1 million question of why it happens. Mm-hmm. But I want to ask you a question. You wear many hats. You are known as the naked professional. You're a 401k specialist. You're an advocate for domestic abuse. You made the leap to show up as severely you, and you're a mom of 4 who is the most amazing role model for them, I might say. And I know you have other pieces to the puzzle, but sort this out for us. How do you do it all? Because we all have the same amount of time, and some of us run out of time, and some of us finish everything. And you seem to have it all, working. And sometimes it's hard to believe that you have 4 children on top of all the other things that you do. So how do you do that?
Sometimes I don't. And I think that the thing that has worked for me is I realize that the only way that I can sustain what I'm doing is if I badly want it. If I am deeply interested in it because it strikes a personal chord with me, I'm going to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And so we find the times to do what we want to do. And so I will only operate in the things that I really, really feel passionate about.
And what happens to the other stuff? You just
dismiss it.
How do you do that?
Sometimes it's hard because it's still so interesting, but I have to check in with myself. Am I going to be interested in this in 5 years? I try to visualize for myself, will this energy wane? Mm-hmm. And I kind of try to test to see how deeply passionate. Am I just seeing an opportunity, or am I actually passionate? And does it line up with the things that are the values that I'm holding true? The things that I already have going on, does it line up with that?
Okay, I have so many questions, but I really need to just jump. I just really need to jump right now because you talked about financial literacy. How important is financial literacy with all the things that you're doing? Where does that piece come in? Like, how all of a sudden is that mostly your biggest priority right now? Why is that?
The reason it is the most important thing to me right now is because what I realized is finances are very black and white. Mm-hmm. So there's really, sure, there are lots of ways that you can skin a cat when it comes to finances, but there's really only one right way. Not being in the red, not being in debt, okay? And so you can have some questions that tell you something about your life or your partner. And when I was working on the front lines with domestic abuse, I realized that it's a very intrusive conversation for people. But when I talk about finances, it's a little bit more of an approachable topic as compared to domestic abuse, because a lot of times victims don't accept that they are being abused because our brain is so incredible. It tells us a story that we want to hold on to so that we can live, survive, and thrive. So, but when we talk about finances, then we don't have to worry about, I'm not trying to get you to break up with your significant other. I'm not trying to break up your family. We're just talking about your finances. So I see it as first signs. And money touches every aspect of our life. Why
Absolutely.
Isn't it the attention? Why isn't the primary attention? And why isn't it a sexier conversation? And so when I'm thinking about shoring my kids up, I want them to know that our emotions, our relationships, all of those things have to do with money. It's not my life and then, I need to deal with my finances. So financial literacy to me should be woven through everything because we can't live without it.
Okay, so let's take your children for a moment. How do you raise savvy kids that they actually understand what it means to have some kind of concept about money? I mean, when you're little, you're given, here's $1, mm-hmm. go and spend it, and you spend it. And then there are other kids that hold on to that dollar for the rest of their lives. We know that.
Yes.
But really, how are you able to make sure that they understand the importance of money, but that not everything revolves around money? Because there's a big difference between that. Money's important, but not everything revolves around money. So how do you get it so the kids understand how important it is, but then they also have other things that they're excited about?
Yes, well, because it's not about money, it's about what the money can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so with kids, and I think that with kids or adults, it doesn't really matter. It's a communication conversation. We're talking about how do we communicate about money. With kids, it can accidentally, if we push terminology, it can accidentally turn into either treasure storing or spending like Monopoly money. They don't grasp the value of it. So when it comes to kids, and I really think that maybe we should all go back to this, it's understanding value of things, energy, time, our emotions, and money. Those are all tied in together. So I think teaching the value of their energy and their time, how they spend it, is the key to teaching them financial concepts.
Okay, so get ready because we are going to publicly broadcast something. April 22nd is coming up. Tell me what April 22nd means to you personally, to your children, and to the concept of financial literacy.
Well, April 22nd is National Teach a Kid to Save Day, which I thought was such an appropriate time to launch a project that my kids and I have been working on together. It's been so amazing to do this alongside my kids, but it started out to be just something that we were working inside of our house, trying to figure out how do we get, responsible, how do I get some help as a single mom, some help for laundry, cleaning the house, and help them understand the finances. So we've been working on a financial literacy book. It's a children's story that teaches, it lays the foundation for financial literacy in a fun and entertaining way. It's fun to watch them giggle about it, and I'm so excited to launch that. It launches on April 22nd.
See, April 22nd, it's coming up. How did they respond to, doing a book project with you and to financial literacy? Were they shocked, or were they excited, or what's going on there?
Involving them in the process the entire way kept them so engaged. I mean, I had them do the artwork for the different pages. I would read the story to them, and then I would have them read it with their inflection, and they would say, oh, this change this is funnier. And I mean, I have 4 beta testers to tell me what's
Really?
working and what's not, and then we talk about reward systems, and I got them involved in, well, what would be meaningful to you? And so they felt a lot of ownership. And so their names will be on the books, and it's so fun to see their art come alive now with a professional illustrator, but to see their artwork come alive in the book has been exciting for them. So they're all about the system because they were involved in it.
So, and what's your hope for this book? What do you want this to do? What kind of impact are you looking to make? And who is the audience?
I think that the audience, though it's a children's book, this is really for children and the people who raise them. Mm-hmm. And what I'm hoping to get from it is true impact for these families, whatever that may be, a non-traditional family setup. But I love how I'm seeing it operate in my own household, and the idea that maybe it could affect other people's families or children and set them up for an accelerated progress, a different trajectory for them, just excites me to no end, because I deeply, from as far back as I can even think, I've always wanted people to really believe in their possibilities, believe in their potential, and I think that creating these opportunities, financial literacy concepts, putting that in their mind that I can earn $20,000 at whatever age. It's amazing to see that they think that it's very doable. Mm-hmm. They see it as doable, and they don't even know how to make the money. They don't have a job. They're underage.
I was just going to say, just remember, you understand these kids they're not teenagers.
No, this is for the age group of 5 to 11. Mm-hmm. So to see them realize that it is actually attainable to change their financial structure. They don't even know these words, financial structure, but to be able to think, I can dream big and I can make these things happen, that just lights me up.
I am so excited. Now, with this whole launch and everything, there's also another piece. There's a series that you're doing around financial literacy, and you're bringing in people that have different perspectives. So it's not just about, do you understand about finances or anything like that. You're bringing in people that are looking at this a little bit differently. So talk about Savvy, because that's, something that's really exciting that can go way past the book.
Yes, I love this. It's an investigative miniseries, and I love it because it is showcasing the fact that financial literacy isn't for financial experts to come in and talk to everyone about all the financial acumen they're supposed to have, so hurry up and study this. Mm-hmm. This is about getting different people's perspective on how it impacts you. And I love being able to talk to people who are in healthcare, in leadership, who are building products for children. All of them have such a surprising correlation to financial concepts. And that's why I think it's important to showcase these different perspectives, because it will resonate with someone and it will click for that parent or that guardian or that teacher to say, oh, that's what I need to do for my set of kids.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, the series is going to be phenomenal. Is it out yet, or when is it coming out?
It is not out yet, but it will be by the end of April,
Awesome.
right alongside the book.
Well, what do you think of that? Okay, so I want to go back now to my favorite topic, which are women, because you are a professional businesswoman. You do lots of different things, and I am certain that you aren't always able to just do things, that you had to really, sit yourself down and say, I can do this, just like you're teaching your kids. And what was it that helped you? Because you're always put together. I mean, every time I talk to you, you are always together. Whether you're not really or not, it doesn't matter. But how do you get yourself to that mindset, even though it's hard, you make it look easy? And I think that's the beauty of it. So what is it that you do that makes it happen? And what happens when it doesn't happen? Like, how do you get yourself out of it? Because it's not always the easiest thing.
Yeah, well, thank you for the compliment. Yes, sometimes it's a dumpster fire inside, but, lipstick's on. I think that there's a misconception that sometimes when you're going through dark times or very, very difficult days or a lot of chaos, that you can't get enough done. And I think, this is just my opinion, but I think that it needs to have a turn of phrase there, where instead we're saying, I'm giving it my all. I'm giving my 100%, because you may have no gas left in the tank, but if you just do something, that's still progress. And so when I have those rough spots where it's like the things are going crazy, sometimes I just have to have a list of 3 to 5 things. They may not be the right priority order. They may not even be the most strategic way for me to use my time, but I'm getting things done. I'm always making progress. I think that's important, knowing that I have dependents. So maybe I have the luxury of having 4 children and being a single mom, that I am forced to
do things,
be an example.
Okay, but what happens when the imposter starts knocking at your door that you want to evict, and you just have to tell yourself, I can do this? Where does that come from? Like, because a lot of women in business, we all feel like imposters half the time. I remember being asked to do a big event. I said yes immediately without even thinking about it. But when I got home and I looked to see who else was on that, on the scoreboard there, I'm like, I cannot do this. I am not, smart enough. I'm not well known enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not tall enough. Whatever the enough is, I was not. And I talked to my coach, and they said basically, like, put on your big girl panties. They asked you, you didn't ask them. Like they want you. You have a great message. And all the things you want to hear. And I had to really talk to myself to get me to do it. Once I did it, it was amazing. I loved it. But I almost talked myself out of it because I wasn't feeling it. So what do you do when you get to that point where you're thinking, okay, my kids are great and I can do this and I've got these priorities and I'm moving forward, but I feel like an imposter?
Well, I feel like what works for me is identifying what that fear is or what I'm nervous about, because then that means that what's on the other side of it is that's what I actually wanted. So I remember vividly the feeling of being an imposter, that people would find out I'm not an expert. I was a young 401k expert, and I thought they're not going to see me that way, and I'm not one anyways. But what I realized was I want to be seen as an expert. So now what's working for me is to identify whatever's coming up and then deciphering what that actually means in my mind. So I can kind of tell what's going on in my mind. Okay, it's because I'm wanting this. I can get rid of the fact that I don't know when it happened that I evicted the imposter syndrome. I still have the feelings, but I now know what they mean.
Ooh, that's a big step, because even women, like Maya Angelou had said when she wrote her 14th book, oh my God, now they're going to figure it out that they don't really know anything. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter who you are, because it happens all the time, and it happens at the most inopportune time. You're just like, what the heck? But so what would you say to women in leadership positions? You're the CEO of your company. You suffer from it. I'm the president of my company. I suffer from it. What would you say to women just to get them to calm down a little bit, that it's okay?
Well, I think that maybe let go of needing to be that perfect thing. And maybe we need to give ourselves grace. We say we're an imposter. Well, why not just own where we are? Why are we expecting so much perfection from ourselves? I feel like I'm speaking to myself right now.
It works.
Yes. I think we do need to give ourselves more grace. We don't have to know everything, every answer to everything. I run a 401k and ESOP company. I don't have every ESOP answer. It's a very tricky set of retirement plans.
But you have people that you can ask.
Yes.
Now, when you ask, do you ever feel like they're thinking you don't know what you're talking about?
No, not anymore, because I'm grateful that I don't need to be the expert in that area because I need my brain somewhere else. Okay,
so you also make 401k and ESOPs, for lack of a better word, sexy.
Mm-hmm.
You have a program on Clubhouse, Pull to Refresh.
Yes.
How did that happen, and how is it that people are like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear about ESOP, about 401k? Because people are going and people are returning all the time to listen to you. So where did that come from?
Yes, it's very exciting. Well, back in the day when we did a lot of traveling before the pandemic, we would have these pockets of people. We'd stop each other in the hall and have great conversation about the way of technology or the way of the policies that are upcoming, legislation changes.
Exciting things.
Very exciting, very nerdy things. But we got to explore and do things without being governed by everyone's compliance department. So we could have very candid conversations like, what the heck is going on with this data? Why are payroll companies not cleaning this up? Why are we having so much trouble with all, those nerdy questions? And so when the pandemic hit, we didn't have those pockets where we could talk about those things. So I like to push buttons. And so on that show, I like to explore the things that are working and some things that are very obviously not working and test it through the fire and see, will it hold up? And because I don't have a compliance department governing me, I get to say whatever I want. And I think that that's kind of exciting to the finance sector that is so heavily, regulated. You can't talk. Your mouth is covered. People have their thumb on you. So I think that's what makes it exciting, is we can explore just candidly.
Well, when I have the opportunity to listen in, I'm always amazed at, the conversation because it's so lively. And I'm thinking, where am I now? Because it doesn't actually make sense to me but I remember, when I first started out, in 1990 with insurance, I remember being so excited about insurance. And people would say, how are you excited about this? I said, I don't know. There's just something about it that gets me going. And, and I'm able to protect people and I'm able to do this with people. So it'd be exciting. But when I sit and I listen to, all those conversations, I actually, internally, I'm giggling because I'm thinking, oh my God, this reminds me of why it was so exciting. Are you going to add to the show? Are you going to continue the show? What are you going to do with that?
Yes, I'm so far rocking along. It seems to be exactly the fit that people are looking for. So I've been bringing on guests that are outside the industry as well as in the industry who are really willing to either challenge something themselves or be challenged. And so I prepare them. I hope you have rhino skin because I don't hold back. One guy came on who has a podcast that it has this kind of a sports theme to his finance discussions. And he revealed that he wants to work with high school and college students, or let that be their audience. And I asked him point blank, do you think you're still relevant at your age? I'm curious what his thoughts were and how he would answer it. And so I just try to prepare people who come on as guests.
Wait, what was his answer?
He said, oh, I hope so.
That's hysterical. But those are the kind of questions that you ask.
Yes.
And the conversation keeps going. That's the fun part.
Right.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah.
Gloves are off.
The gloves are off. So tell me what the rest of 2023 is looking like for you. What are you most excited about?
This book. Oh, it is, taking so much center stage of my life right now. Watching my kids get involved with it and teaching them business skills alongside it. Watching some of them have a natural proclivity to marketing. That's just so exciting. And then to be able to talk to presidents of the PTO or talk to banks or different financial institutions, former NBA players. It's amazing to watch them light up because they see it a little bit differently of how that book could impact the people that they're involved with. So that's just, keeping me really going right now.
Okay, so when you are a bestseller after April 22nd, then what? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with the book?
I think it needs a follow-up.
Oh.
I think we need to tap into the emotional side of things, and I think there's so much that goes hand in hand with behavior and finances, so I think that will be my next focus.
And where do you think the parents are going to find the value? Do you think they're going to find the value of reading the story to their children? Do you think they're going to find the value in themselves of things that maybe they should be doing differently? Because, when you talk about reward systems, we all like to be rewarded. And what are you going to tell the parents? Like, why is this so important for you? Because they're going to feel something different. Maybe they're going to feel gypped that they didn't have it.
Yes, I hope so. I hope that this gives them an extra oomph to the parenting that they're already doing. We're working so hard as parents to raise our kids to be the best and most successful that they can possibly be. I hope this just gives them an extra oomph, and I hope they feel that. So I put parent resources in there, and I'm hoping that they'll feel fueled by it. Maybe it'll even give them a different perspective of how to think about whether it's behavior or even their behavioral finances that they've got going on.
Interesting. I can't wait for this to happen and all unfold because there's so many pieces. I know it's going to be incredible. But at the same time, you're doing something for yourself. So what are you doing for yourself?
Well, I'm back on the competitive circuit for bodybuilding. That's something that I've just always loved doing, and I feel like I'm finding myself again. I have a competition coming up in 2 weeks, and of course, it's the same weekend as the book launch.
Of course. Why would you do anything differently?
I don't know. Why would I? So it felt perfect.
Well, that's good. And we definitely wish you the best.
Thank you.
With everything. So where can our listeners find more about you, the book, your competition, 401ks, ESOP, Pull to Refresh, Naked Professional?
Yes.
I could just keep naming, the list keeps going longer and longer.
Yes, and the publication, The Naked Professional, is one of my favorites right now, too. But faithteope.com is the fastest way to find me on all the things. I'm on all social media, and you can find my companies there and the book.
And the book will be coming out shortly.
Yes.
So any last words, anything else you want to make sure you let everybody hear?
I would love to just remind everyone to give themselves grace, that we can do it all because we don't have to do it all every single day.
Yes, and being perfect is very boring.
It is boring.
It is.
I love that.
Being perfect is boring. You're there. Where are you going to go? You're perfect. And it doesn't last long because what happens after you're perfect? There's only one place to go. You can't be perfect. You have to go down. So let's just do away with this and let's be imperfectly perfect.
I like that. I love that, actually.
Yes, I think that's what we should do. So, well, thank you so much for being with me today. I'm super excited. I can't wait for everybody to find out about the whole book launch, and everybody get ready because we're all going to push it out together.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great conversation.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us today on Selling in a Skirt, where we talk to the most amazing women and men, and we're just excited about sharing their messages. So tune in next time and wait till you see who we have next. See you then.
All right, perfect. We are clear.
Clear.
Awesome.
You were awesome. That was great.
Thank you.
That was great.
You're a great host.
Oh.